What's up, guys? It's Jim from Wrestle Wellbeing here. Welcome back to a brand new episode of The Unseen Battles. Today, I've got a fantastic guest. But before we get into my guest, I'm going to talk about the Hot Tag Foundation. For those of you that have been here before, you know exactly what I'm going to say. If you're new around here, first of all, welcome to Wrestle Wellbeing and The Unseen Battles. Make sure you click the subscribe button. Give this video a like as well. And also, share this video with your friends. Make sure that you check out the other videos as well. So, onto the Hot Tag Foundation. The Hot Tag Foundation is a non-profit organisation based here in the UK that aims to share wrestling with children across Britain, particularly those in need. The way that they do this is by collecting donations of wrestling items such as toys, merchandise, and other wrestling-related goods, personalising and packaging these donations, and distributing the items to children and young people across the UK. In essence, the Hot Tag Foundation leverages the appeal of professional wrestling to bring joy and a sense of real-life superheroes to children. So make sure that you check out this video, guys. It's got some fantastic work by the Hot Tag Foundation, and also it's got links to and also the logos of the fantastic wrestling companies up and down the UK. And then we're going to get into my guest. It's my first ever international guest. I'm really excited about this, guys. Make sure you check out this episode. We'll be back in 2 minutes.
Ready for stains the horizon, the sky's turning red. Steel claws of vengeance awaken the dead. The silence is shattered, the battle drums roar. We march through the ashes, we're ready for war. No mercy, no chains, no fear in our veins. The fire ignites, we'll never be tamed. Ready for war, the thunder will break. Fury unleashed, the earth's gonna shake. Raise the black flag, let the demons soar. We're forged in the chaos, ready for war. The wolves are howling, the night's closing in. A blade in the darkness where shadows begin. The weak will crumble, their cries fade away. We stand in the inferno, we'll never obey. No mercy, no chains, no fear in our veins. The fire ignites, we'll never be tamed. Ready for war, the thunder will break. Fury unleashed, the earth's gonna shake. Raise the black flag, let the demons soar. We're forged in the chaos, ready for war.
So there you have it, guys. That is the Hot Tag Foundation, along with all the fantastic companies and the links to the wrestling companies up and down the UK. Now, on to my guest for today's Unseen Battles. Like I said, it is my first ever international guest. I'm very excited for this. Ladies and gentlemen, he is the 2025 Eliminator Cup Tag Team Tournament winner alongside his partner Ichiban. He is a former three-time SWF Cruiserweight Champion. He is the Mythical Fighter. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Brando Lee. Brando, thank you for joining me, man.
Yeah, what an introduction, man. Thank you.
I always try. So, like I said, mate, thank you so much for coming on. I really do appreciate it.
Yeah, I'm happy to be here.
Fantastic. So, obviously, people that are watching won't know, I was actually introduced to yourself from our very good mutual friend, Callum Crowe. You said to me just before we came on that you got to know Callum through social media. Do you want to just tell us quickly about that, bud?
Yes, I think actually now that I remember it, Callum had liked one of my posts on something. I think it was a collab post I did with a promotion, and he liked it. And then I checked his Instagram, and the first video I saw was like him coming out. I think it was for a Rumble match, and the place went nuts for him. And I was like, wow, this guy must be a star or something. So I was just looking through his posts and his promos, and I was captivated by everything. The guy's a real talent.
Definitely, my friend Callum has been on the show. He's a fantastic personality. He's a fantastic wrestler. Watching yourself and Callum, I think that would be an absolutely insane match between yourselves. Is that something that we could possibly see in the future?
Yeah, of course. I'd love to come over to the freaking Liverpool, right? Liverpool, England, and work him over there. That'd be great.
Absolutely, mate. So, Mr. Brando, to kick us off, mate, would you mind explaining to us what drew you to professional wrestling? Is it something you wanted to do ever since you was a child, or is it something that you discovered later on in life?
Yeah, it was always on in the house. You know, my dad was a big wrestling fan. Before him, my granddad was a big fan. So it's kind of just been like the fandom's been passed down for generations. So it was on the TV as long as I could remember. And then I was like, oh, I want to do it. So then my dad just took me down to the wrestling school and got me started.
Absolutely, absolutely. So, who would you say were the first couple of wrestlers that you saw that really sort of like drew you in?
The first ones I'd say, because I grew up in the Ruthless Aggression era, so it was a lot of Randy Orton, John Cena, Batista, that like 2005 to 2007 era. That was like what drew me in the most.
Absolutely. So, obviously, you mentioned that your dad took you down to the wrestling school. Can you describe what that first training session was like? What was it like when you first stepped into the ring and took that first bump?
Oh, it sucked. You know, this it was not anything like I thought it was going to be because you grew up and you're play wrestling with your friends and you're doing all these like RKO's and things and it's so fun wrestling in school or wherever you are. But then when you go to wrestling training, especially on the first day, you're not really doing anything. They have you like bumping, which hurts. You're slamming your head on the canvas, and maybe you get to walk the ropes. You don't even get to run yet. So the first, I'd say, couple weeks, I really thought about not going back. I was like, this isn't fun. I don't like this. It's not what I thought it was going to be. I thought you could just sign up and, jump around. Like, they'll show you a few moves and then you're a wrestler. But no, it was a good 6 months of just hell.
Absolutely. So, what would you say is the best advice that your trainer ever gave to you?
The best advice my trainer ever gave me, I'd say, was to wrestle for the last person in the arena. Like, do everything for, like, if you're in the garden, Madison Square Garden or something, the person in the highest seat needs to see what you're doing. Because oftentimes, especially when you're new, we do everything small. Like, you punch a guy very short, and the guy upstairs in the last nosebleed seat won't be able to see it. So everything's got to be dramatic. It's got to be pulled back all the way, executed fully through. It may feel goofy when you're doing it at first, but it looks great on camera.
Definitely, my friend. So, what would you say have been some of the most memorable moments or matches in your career so far?
I'd have to say the one I had with Jordan Oliver, who's very big over here. He's a guy I've been watching since I started training. Like when I took my first bump, he was already hot on the independent scene. So I've wanted to work him, and it was about 5 years into my career. It was about 2023. That's when I had my first match with him, and we ended up working like two, three more times after that. But that first one, I was so nervous. I didn't sleep the night before. I just couldn't sleep. I tried, I couldn't, and then I was on like two energy drinks before the match, and they came out great. So yeah.
Absolutely. So, in doing my research, I saw that you were actually in one of the big companies. You were on AW Dark number 170 in a tag match.
Uh,
What was that like?
yeah. AEW Dark 170. That was fun. Um, I was like, I was on cloud nine at the time. That was the happiest day of my life because it was the first time I was backstage at a major promotion, seeing a lot of guys I grew up watching. So it was like trying not to fanboy, trying not to, you know, you don't want to look too happy. You don't want to look too giddy when you're around these guys. So I was trying to keep a poker face, and yeah, it was myself and Lucas Chase versus the Iron Savages, and it was a squash, but I didn't care. I'm on AEW right now. That's all I cared about.
What was the how did that come around? So obviously, how did you actually get that call to go into AW Dark?
I was actually training in Queens with this tag team known as the SAT. They've been around for a long time, and he said, "Oh, you gotta have you emailed AEW yet? They're coming to I think it was Connecticut. They're coming to Connecticut." And I said, "No, I didn't know you could do that. I didn't know how to do that." Like he was telling me as if I knew everything. And he was like, "Oh yeah, yeah, here's the email." He gave me the email. He told me what to say. He basically wrote everything for me and just said, "Hey, send this." And I sent it, and like literally a half hour later, the guy got back to me. He was like, "Oh yeah, you're in." And they don't tell you what you're doing or anything. They just say, "Yeah, you're in." Like, show up to the arena. We'll get you something.
I bet that must have been quite a shock when you got that reply.
Yeah, I called my dad. I told him to get tickets immediately. And he was there. He was there. He saw me wrestle on AEW Dark. It was amazing.
Well, hopefully, we'll see you on the big stage and we'll see you headlining the pay-per-view.
You will, Jim. You will. The book's already written. We just got to keep turning the pages.
Exactly. You'll be seeing the Mythical Fighter on the big stages fighting for the AEW World title very soon. I'm sure of that.
Yes, sir.
So, how would you say that you prepare for a big match? Obviously, you are three-time SWF Cruiserweight champion. You won the tag team tournament with your partner, and obviously, you have been on AEW Dark. How do you prepare for a big match, both physically and mentally?
I try to keep my temperament the opposite of how big the match is. If the match is already very big, I try to go in very mellow, very calm, and just have fun with it. It kind of evens it out. If the match is big and you're like amped up and you're so excited, you're gonna be like over intentional and it's gonna come out bad. But if the match is small, I treat it bigger than it is because I know if it's small and I go into it with a small mentality, like, oh, this is just another day, just another match. It's going to be a boring match. So for big matches, yeah, I try to just mellow out, stay calm, have a few laughs, and just put it together almost in like a playful manner with that playful energy, because that mellows it out and creates the best product.
Absolutely. So, what would you say have been some of the biggest challenges that you've faced in your career so far, aside from mental health? So, it could be injuries, controversies, or anything like that.
Biggest challenges I faced, I guess, would have to be in that Jordan Oliver match. I actually tore my ACL in that one. So I think because I was on the no sleep and I was nervous, when you're on no sleep, like your body, it's not at its best shape. So he gave me like a German suplex off the top, and I did like a backflip and landed on my face. So it was basically like a moonsault bump, and my knee just exploded. And I remember thinking, man, I'm gonna be. Cause I just started like my name just started getting out there, and I was like, oh, I gotta have to sit down. I'm gonna be out for 9 months, and then I just decided not to. I said no. I didn't take any time off, and here I am, like 2 years later, no surgery, no nothing, and I'm rocking and rolling, and I barely feel the pain now. So, yeah,
That's fantastic to hear, my friend. So, how would you say that your wrestling style has evolved since you started?
I don't wrestle like a wrestler anymore. I used to like look at guys on TV and try to emulate them. Like I said, I watched the Randy Ortons and the Batistas and the Cenas, the ruthless aggression era, and even like the guys of the more modern era. And I'd say, oh, this is what's on TV. This is what I have to do. But I've realized that it's actually the opposite. It's this is what's on TV. This is what's already out there. So you have to do something that's not seen. You have to do something that's very different from anything anyone's used to. And now I do spots that it's I can't even like it's hard to call to people or hard to explain to someone exactly what I'm doing because it's not really common anymore. It's not just a typical run the ropes, chop down, leapfrog, or whatever. It's very complex. So I think doing something that's not already out there, which is very hard, it's easier said than done, is what I'm trying to do now.
Okay, fantastic. So, got a couple of questions from Instagram, in particular, our very good friend, Mr. Colin Crow. First question Colin asks is who are five wrestlers that you hope to face in 2026?
Five wrestlers. Okay, I don't have five. I have one. I have one, and that's Dean Allmark. I want to fight Dean Allmark at the freaking Progress or TNT. Yeah, That'll be my one for Colin. I gotta fight the. I actually told him that. I told him that in the messages. I said, "Oh, I gotta fight this guy. You know, he's on Instagram tying these kids in knots. And he's talking like he's such a good, creative guy." And it's just embarrassing, like why would you do that? Why would you take your own students and tie them in knots? Colin's in those videos. He's getting tied up, and Dean's out there parading like, "Hey, look at me! Look how good I am!" Like, how could you do that to your own students? That's shameful.
Definitely, my friend. So, Callum's next question actually ties into our mental health side of things. So, if it's all good with you, bud, we'll jump straight into the mental health questions.
Yeah, let's go.
Okay. So, Brando, mate, first question I've got for you, bud, is what is your biggest fear?
My biggest fear, not giving my all. My biggest fear is my career ending, me not achieving what I wanted to achieve, and looking back and knowing I didn't do everything I could to make it. Because I feel like at the end of the day, only we know. Only we know. Like, you can tell people, oh yeah, I did everything I wanted to do. I tried my hardest. But only you know when you look yourself in the mirror, did you do everything you could to make it? And you only have one shot at this. So if you don't do it now, then it's just not going to happen. So even if I don't make it and I know, like, okay, I did everything, I can live with that. But when you know, okay, I didn't work out as hard, I didn't go to training when I should have, I didn't take those bookings that I knew would further my career, I kind of just coasted, and now my career is over and I feel worthless inside, that would be my biggest fear.
Definitely. So, can you share with us a bit about when you first started experiencing your struggles with mental health?
Um, I think when I started getting bigger matches, that's when I started to get really like nervous because in the beginning it was I did catch on kind of quickly to wrestling. So it was like, oh wow, you're so good. You're like outshining all the other students that you're in the ring with. But then when it started to get like, okay, now we're gonna bring in this guy to work here and that guy, and now you're gonna, and then the matches get more complex. Now you're worried about, oh man, I hope I don't slip up. I hope I don't fall and like mess up the spot or something. So I think that's when I had to like calm down and okay, the match is already big. Have fun with it. Because for the early matches, I would take it more seriously than it was. I'd wrestle like there's 100,000 people watching, and because there was only like 10 people out there, I made the match better. But when you already have a lot of eyes watching you because you're working this particular name, it's best to just calm it down and have fun with it.
Definitely. So, how would you say that the demanding nature of professional wrestling has impacted your mental health in particular?
The demanding nature of professional wrestling, I think it's impacted it, believe it or not, in a good way. I think it's
Mhm.
impacted my mental health in a good way because you need like deadlines in your life, I think, to do certain things. And when it's like, okay, I have this amount of time to get my body in shape. I have this amount of time to get better in the ring before I face this guy. You're almost forced to do it. And then that forces you to accomplish things. And now it builds that confidence in you. Whereas if it's like you don't have anything scheduled, you don't have anything demanding of you, you're like, oh, in time, I'll get this done. I'll go to the gym next week. I'll go to training next week. But if you know you have a match against let's say Lindsay Dorado or something, and you haven't trained in 3 weeks, you're going to get back in the ring almost immediately. So I think the demanding nature, to a degree, it's beneficial to you, to me at least.
Absolutely. So, there's obviously quite specific challenges related to mental health when it comes to being in the wrestling industry. Um, can you let us know if you've faced any of these? So I'll give you the examples: performance anxiety, pressure, travel, body imagery, and social media scrutiny. Do those apply to you at all, bud?
Say that first one again.
Performance anxiety.
That's the one. That's the one. That's the one. Performance anxiety and travel. Because I actually don't drive. So like finding a ride for me sometimes can get stressful. Like sometimes a match is simple. It's like, oh yeah, it's gonna be a good match. But then you don't really know how you're getting there. That can cause stress. But performance anxiety is the most. But at the same time, I think I think it's like a drug, right? We live for that. I think that's why we're here because we want that anxiety, that sense of accomplishment when we have the good match, when we go out there. Because, like, no one forces you to be a wrestler. You don't accidentally become a wrestler. There's like a lot of steps you have to take before you're actually in the ring with your boots laced up and you're about to lock up with a guy. So first you have to spend like a lot of money. Then you have to go through those boring training sessions that we talked about earlier, those grueling training sessions. So by the time you're actually in the ring, I think it's best to just remind yourself that there's nowhere else you'd rather be. This didn't happen by accident. You had to go through all these steps to be here. So even though in the moment, yeah, it's terrifying, your heart wants it. You wouldn't be in there if it didn't.
Absolutely. I was going to say, mate, if you said Bonnie Imagery, then I think we're all screwed because the photos I've seen of you are unbelievable, mate. You're in absolute awesome shape.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
My pleasure. So, would you say that there's been any particular moments or periods in your career so far where you felt particularly overwhelmed at all?
Mm, overwhelmed. I think the one time I think I felt overwhelmed, but not really because I did it was after the ACL tear that I had. I had a lot of matches to do and a lot of spots to call, and I could barely like most of the stuff that I'm known for, I couldn't do. So guys would be calling moves of mine that are moves I do every match, and I'm like, oh, I can't do that because of this. Oh, I can't do that because of that. And then now guys are getting upset because they're just like, oh, you just don't want to take my move. That's why you're saying it's not your knee. And it's like, no, I really can't do the certain things that you guys are asking. So it was a good period around 2023, 24, where I just couldn't do a lot of stuff that I used to, or I couldn't wrestle to the best of my ability because of the injury. And that made me feel bad because I knew I'm not putting out my best product. Like, yeah, it's not my fault, I'm hurt, but just knowing, oh man, if I was 100%, this match would have been better, that match would have been better, and blah, blah, blah. So, yeah.
Absolutely. So, would you say that when it comes to going into a match, that you sometimes have imposter syndrome?
Imposter syndrome. I've heard of imposter syndrome. I don't think so. I don't think I have imposter syndrome. Like, I feel like I think okay. The only times I get imposter syndrome are when it's like, no, I'm gonna say no. I don't really get imposter syndrome. Only because like I feel like I jokingly said it earlier, but I think the book's already written. I think our lives are like they're planned out for us. I think this is like where I'm supposed to be in my life. So even when things are getting hectic, even when I'm like super nervous out of my mind, I'm like, this is where God wants me in this moment. This is where I'm supposed to be. If I go out and I fall flat on my face, it was supposed to happen. It's gonna build me into something else. I've fallen on my face before. I mean, I've had bad matches, and they've only made me better, and they've turned me into the performer I am today. So maybe tomorrow it's time for me to just suck and then learn from that, and then I'll grow from there.
Definitely, my friend. So, what coping mechanisms or strategies have you found most effective when managing your mental health?
Talk to your friends. I'd say that's the best thing to do, and if you can, friends that aren't in wrestling or whatever field you're in that you're feeling your mental health issues, talk to somebody outside of it because it gives you kind of perspective of like how small your problems actually are. Like everyone's dealing with something, everybody's has something going on in their own circles. So when we're in wrestling or whatever your field is, and you think, oh man, if I don't do this right, the world's gonna end. It's like, oh, this is just a small part of your life, actually. 6 months from now, this match or this promo or whatever, you're probably not even going to remember it. It's not even going to be that big a deal. So just separating myself from wrestling or whatever, that I think is the best coping mechanism.
Definitely. So, so I'm not sure how different the UK scene is in the US to the UK, but over here in the UK, the locker rooms are quite like a family sort of thing that people can go to each other and talk to each other. Is that the same over in the US, or is it quite different?
It's depends which one you're in. It varies. Like there's some locker rooms where it's like, oh yeah, these guys are family and they welcome you in like family, even if they don't know you. It's like, oh, you're wrestling with us, yeah, you're part of the team. And then there's others who are like, they alienate you for a while. It's more of that old school pro wrestling tradition where you're the new guy, you got to kind of prove yourself. You got to no one's going to talk to you for the first 6 months and then you're in, that sort of thing. So depending on where you are, uh, and of course when you're in a certain area for a period of time, you all end up kind of wrestling on the same shows. Like if you're all in the same 5 states span, you're going to be seeing the same guys. But when you go out to the Midwest, it's different. When you go out to the West Coast, it's different. So you might be cool in the East Coast in these 5, 7 states, but then you go across the country and nobody knows you and they treat you like a schmuck.
Definitely. So you obviously mentioned talking to your friends. What other support system would you say that you rely on both within and outside of wrestling?
People that I've known before wrestling, I think I talk to them mostly because it's just like a long relationship there. That bond is strong, and there's no ego there. I think like talking to even your friends in wrestling, right? It's like there's still sort of that competition where we're friends, but I'm better than you. No, I'm better than you. Whereas you talk to somebody from high school, they're in their own world. They're doing their own thing, and they're probably need you to escape their problems. You know what I'm saying? So it's always good to just like for me, that's what it is. I talk to my high school buddies.
Fantastic. So for anyone that's watching, whether they are a wrestler or a fan or whatever, what message would you give to someone that is struggling with their mental health and feels though they can't speak to anybody?
I'd say you have no alternative because unfortunately, if you don't speak to anybody and your mental health is hurting you, you're only going to go downhill. So you can't choose that. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, there's not everyone's the best person to talk to, but there's an option, there's a chance for an escape through other people. There's no chance if you just alienate yourself. It's only a matter of time before you just sink into that hole. So I'd say, yeah, go out, talk to people, talk to the whoever the best person is in your contact list that you think this person's gonna help me in some way. Reach out to that person. Don't stay alone.
Fantastic advice there, my friend. Thank you so much for that. So, how do you believe that the professional wrestling industry itself can better support its performers' mental well-being?
By acknowledging that this is stressful, I think we all
Mhm.
play it a little too cool. Everyone, I've seen guys get laughed at because they're trying to go over their stuff again, like call it all over again, and like their matches or their promos or whatever. Like if someone sees you rehearsing too many times, they're like, oh, this guy is like a rookie. Look at him. He's so and that makes you as the rookie, oh, I can't say anything. I can't ask somebody to help me out because I'm gonna look like a rookie. They're gonna make fun of me, and that makes things worse. We're all nervous to some degree. Even the guy that looks like he knows everything, he knows what he's doing, and he's been doing this for 20 years. And before his match, you see him praying in the corner, or you see him slapping himself in the face. Everyone has their own way of getting their nerves out. You know what I mean? Like even that buff guy that's slapping himself, spraying himself down, those are the nerves because he knows, okay, I'm about to be out there in my underwear in front of all these people. I got to look my best. So from top to bottom, we're all feeling nervous. Let's just acknowledge it and make ourselves comfortable with it. Make it normal.
Definitely, my friend. So, what role would you say that professional wrestling has played in your overall mental health journey? Would you say that it's been a source of strength? Is it been a challenge, or is it been a bit of both?
It's a strength because it's a challenge. It gives you a sense of fulfillment. It gives you a sense of accomplishment. It's not easy to go out in front of the audience, like I said, in your tidy whities or whatever, and do all these moves. You're gonna mess up. You're gonna get hurt. There's so many things to watch out for. But then there's that high of when you do have those good days. We're all on a high after a good match, after a good show, and that's where the strength comes in. It's like I went through all these challenges, all these things that could have gone wrong, and it went right. So yeah, it's both a strength and a challenge.
Fantastic. So as we start to wind down, Brando, mate, I've got some quick fire questions if that's okay with you.
Yeah,
Okay. What's your favorite finishing move of all time?
the RKO,
Favorite entrance music?
Burning My Light by Mercy Drive,
What is a move that you've always wanted to do but you haven't yet?
the Shooting Star Press.
I think you could definitely do that one, bud.
It's harder than it looks. I'm telling you.
What's the best crowd you've ever performed in front of?
Oh, best crowd I've ever performed in front of would have to be the freaking Roads on the Patuxent in Cranston, Rhode Island.
Do you prefer being a face or a heel, and why?
Either or. I think we should just be like characters as
Mhm.
performers. I think we should just be characters that can go both ways. Yeah, I think I have no preference.
Okay. Who's your favorite opponent that you've ever worked?
Jordan Oliver,
Which do you think is better, WrestleMania or the Royal Rumble?
WrestleMania.
If you could have a match with any wrestler, past or present, who would it be?
Past or present, any wrestler of all time, I'd wrestle Colin Crow.
I think we need to book that match, mate.
Yeah, let's do it.
Last couple. What's your favorite cheat meal?
Ramen noodles,
If you could have a if you could have any non-wrestling superpower, what would it be?
telekinesis,
What's one film you could watch over and over again?
the Polar Express.
Fantastic, mate. So coming down to the last couple of questions, bud, and then I will let you go. What do you want your legacy to be when you retire?
I want to be a guy that you had to watch no matter what was going on, whether it was a segment, whether it was a match, whether it was a promo, and a podcast and interview. I want people to just know that when I'm on the screen, it's going to be a good time.
Fantastic. What are your aspirations and goals within professional wrestling for the future?
Main event of WrestleMania, holding up the world title with the pyro going off behind me.
Couldn't ask for any better than that. And finally, mate, I'm going to give you this question. I gave this question to a referee that I had on, and he basically lost his mind. I'm hoping for a decent reaction. Who who is on your Mount Rushmore of wrestlers?
Mount Rushmore. Okay. Yeah, I'm not gonna lose my mind. That's not too bad. I'd say gotta go with John Cena. John Cena. That actually is a hard question because there's some names I want to say, but I don't think Stone Cold, Ric Flair, and Andre the Giant.
Fantastic, mate. So there you go, guys. That is it for today's episode of the Unseen Battles. I want to thank Brando Lee for joining me today, bud. Thank you so much.
Thanks for having me on, Jim.
No problem, my friend. So, guys, if you want to just check out Brando, check out that QR code. That is a link to Brando's personal Instagram account. Make sure you go give him a follow. Make sure you go give him some love. Brando, I'll let you finish off, bud. If there's anything you want to say, anything you want to plug, anything you want to get off your chest, feel free, my friend, and then we will cut the stream.
Yeah, I just want to say freaking TNT progress. I'm chasing Dean Allmark. I want to fight that guy. I don't like him. I think he's bullying his students, and he's been doing this for a long time. He's got his pin to his Instagram is like a top 40 moves list. One of those moves is the inside trip. You know what I mean? The inside trip, that's like day one basic training. And he's bragging about it like it's a big deal. I got to show this guy what a real creative wrestler looks like, you know, and then I'll take over the Claw Wrestling School, steal some of his students. Colin Crow will be my trainee. Yeah, that's what I got to say.
Fantastic. See you guys later. Remember, it's okay to talk.